Funga mlango.
Ndugu, enda huko kwa kiwanja bwana, kidogo tu. Intellectual ukiindafia na mind yake bwana, sasa inapungua bwana. My fellow citizens, let me start by expressing my heartfelt condolences to the families that have lost their loved ones these last few weeks. I feel your pain, and I know it will take time before meaningful healing comes. Those nursing injuries from the brunt of Ruto's forces in hospital beds and at home, I wish you quick recovery. May God console you. Kenyans, it is now exactly 1 month since the young people of Kenya came out in large numbers to assemble, demonstrate, picket, and petition their representatives to reject the Finance Bill 2024. The Gen Zs and Millennials and Kenyans of goodwill, some young in body and some young at heart, stood together to say no to an oppressive tax regime. They also spoke. So I start again. Okay, let me just start in 1 minute. Correct? Thank you. My fellow citizens, let me start by expressing my heartfelt condolences to the families that have lost their loved ones these last few weeks. I feel your pain, and I know it will take time before meaningful healing comes. To those nursing injuries from the brunt of Ruto's forces in hospital beds and at home, I wish you quick recovery. May God console you. Kenyans, it is now exactly 1 month since the young people of Kenya came out in large numbers to assemble, demonstrate, picket, and petition their representatives to reject the Finance Bill 2024. The Gen Zs and Millennials and Kenyans of goodwill, some young in body and some young at heart, stood together to say no to an oppressive tax regime. They also spoke unequivocally that they want a reformed government. Young people in Kenya are concerned about 1. Poor agriculture production, which threatens our food adequacy, safety, and security. 2. Parents, teachers, and learners alike are all confused by the CBC syllabus and transition. College and university education has been made too expensive, and young Kenyans are not joining while others are dropping from colleges. 3. Our healthcare is now completely broken, with NHIF looted and left incapable of meeting claims by hospitals, some of which have now been forced to close down. Our infrastructure is crumbling, roads are not maintained, our ports are being auctioned, and basic access to water and electricity is out of reach to many Kenyans. The business environment has been destroyed by bad government policy in sector after sector. Foreign direct investment has gone down, and we have seen investors running away to neighboring countries, leaving Kenyans jobless. The unemployment rate has skyrocketed, the cost of living has gone beyond the roof, and many Kenyans cannot afford a decent living. To make matters worse, a burdensome tax regime is squeezing every blood out of Kenyans, killing their businesses and making their products less competitive. Sensing individual and collective failure, the young people came out to demand that their president confront these challenges. Instead, what did the president do? For 1, he used goons and criminals to infiltrate peaceful demonstrations to get reasons to unleash violence against Kenyans. He used the police to unleash terror on young people. Resorted to abductions, forced disappearance, torture, killings, and mutilation of bodies of the Kenyan children. The President would win us by withdrawing the finance bill, but continued to implement its draconian provisions. He deceitfully dissolved his cabinet on grounds of incompetence, only to reappoint the same crooks. He completely refused to listen to the issues raised by Kenyans, and instead he raided the opposition to appoint cabinet secretaries in a bid to weaken oversight against his government and to gain cosmetic stability, to consider the next general election and to ignore this and the next generation. No Gen Zs were nominated in this cabinet. No gender rule considered, thereby discriminating on women. Persons with disabilities were not considered. The only disabilities which were considered were mental disabilities, which were considered in the current cabinet. Fellow Kenyans, these last few weeks, I have been to the mortuaries in this country helping desperate parents, siblings and relatives, neighbors and friends identify the bodies of their loved ones brutally murdered and bodies dumped in quarries or wrongly registered to conceal murder by the state. I have stood by parents and communities burying young Kenyans killed by President Ruto and his rogue policemen, following insane commands of people we put in office to secure our lives. As I speak today, so many parents and relatives are still distressed and emotionally broken as they try to search for their young children abducted by this dangerous regime. President Ruto has turned Kenyans against each other. Now he is trying to isolate some tribes and some ages and some regions to divide us some more. I want to say categorically that President Ruto is the real problem in this country. He is the real problem that this country is facing. He is the stumbling block to the modest reforms Gen Zs are asking for. Sharing power in a cosmetic overhaul, we demand from Ruto these bare minimums. Pay to the families who've lost their loved ones 1 million Kenya shillings for funeral expenses they are incurring. Number 2, compensate the bereaved families at 10 million Kenya shillings each for the excruciating pain, agony, and suffering you have put them through. Declare a mourning day and hold a national funeral service mass in honor of the patriots you have killed. Pay all the medical expenses for the young people who have been brutalized by the police upon your instructions. Release all the young Kenyans that you abducted and continue to hold in Comunicado. Release them today. Drop all the trumped-up charges you have pressed against innocent Kenyans who were arrested while calling for good governance of their country. Mr. President, you don't seem to get it. Young Kenyans are mad and angry and stressed, and they can't believe we just can't get a single thing right out of their modest demands. Kenyans want, number 1, a competent government capable of getting things done. They want government positions to be well thought out, well structured, and staffed with public-minded, based on meritocracy, not kakistocracy, qualified citizens committed, who are committed to a common good. We want you to address the rampant looting of public resources. We We want you to stop interfering in the running of state departments. Give the bureaucracy space to do what they should do. You don't know it all, and you cannot do it all. But as we ask you to do this, just know that the young people of this country are not afraid of you. We don't fear you. We expect you to serve us. Remember, the most important office in a democracy is the citizen. We, the people, can choose to exercise our sovereign power directly. May God bless you. May God remember our country, Kenya. Thank you, and God bless you. Any questions, commission,